All right, so you want to know if Palo Alto Networks, ticker symbol PANW, is a buy hold or maybe even a hard pass?
Smart move asking that because cybersecurity is definitely a hot area right now, but not all stocks are winners, of course.
Exactly. And we've got a ton of info to sort through here. Analyst reports, news articles, even some insider trading data.
We're going to do a deep dive and try to figure out if PANW is a stock you should buy or if you should run for the hills.
So one thing that jumped out at me right away was their latest earnings report.
Yeah, what'd you see there?
Well, they reported 40% growth year over year in next generation security, annual recurring revenue.
NGSAR are short.
Yeah, NGS ARR. I mean, that's a mouthful, but what does it even mean for us regular investors?
It basically means the money they're bringing in from those newer security products is growing really, really fast.
So their strategy of bundling products into platforms is working.
It really seems to be, and think about it, like getting your cable, internet, and phone all from one provider.
Oh yeah, it's convenient and maybe even more effective to have everything working together.
Exactly, and it's not just small companies buying into this either.
Yeah, I saw that they closed a deal worth over $50 million with some big tech firm.
It's a good sign when you see major players placing these kinds of bets.
For sure. But I have a feeling there's more to the story.
Well, the market is currently valuing PANW around $400 a share, but our analysis suggests a fair value closer to $350.
Okay, so there's a gap there. What's causing that?
A few things, actually. For starters, their hardware sales are shrinking, which makes sense as things move to the cloud.
Ah, I see. But their newer software offerings, while promising, have lower profit margins, right?
Right, it's a balancing act for them.
They're growing, but their profitability could take a hit as they transition.
Plus, there's the whole looming threat of a recession.
Yeah, the big R word always throws things into question. But,
Yeah.
I mean, is PANW doing anything to address these challenges?
Oh, absolutely. They're definitely aware of these things, and they're focusing on higher margin subscriptions.
Okay, makes sense.
And they're also putting a lot of resources into AI-powered security.
AI-powered security. What does that even mean?
It's becoming increasingly important as hackers are using AI to launch more sophisticated attacks.
So to stay ahead of the bad guys, companies like PANW have to fight fire with fire.
Precisely. And PANW isn't just slapping AI onto their existing products, they're really building it into their core platforms.
So AI-powered firewalls, threat detection, things like that.
Right. Even AI that helps security analysts make quicker and better decisions.
Wow, that sounds pretty futuristic.
It is, and it's a trend we're seeing across the entire industry, this convergence of cloud AI and cybersecurity.
So investing in PANW isn't just about cybersecurity, it's about betting on this bigger technological shift.
Exactly. But there's still so much more to unpack.
Like what?
Well, we need to take a closer look at their platforms, their financials, and we'll even peek at what those insider trades are telling us.
Definitely don't go anywhere, folks. We'll be right back with part 2 of our deep dives into Palo Alto Networks.
So let's dive into those platforms we touched on earlier. Palo Alto Networks has 3 main areas they're focusing on: network security, cloud security, and Cortex.
Okay, break that down for me. What makes each of those so important?
Well, their network security platform is kind of their foundation. It's what they're known for.
Right, the bread and butter stuff, firewalls, threat prevention, all that.
Exactly. The essential tools that have made them a leader in the space.
Got it. So what about cloud security? That's a hot topic these days.
It is, and for good reason. As more companies move their stuff to the cloud, they need ways to protect it.
Makes sense, because it's not like you can just put a firewall around a cloud.
No, you can't. That's where their Prisma Cloud platform comes in. It's specifically designed for cloud environments.
Like AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, all those.
Yep, it covers pretty much all the major cloud providers.
So they're not just sticking with what they know, they're adapting to how businesses are changing.
Right, they're evolving with their customers. And then there's Cortex. What do you think that one's all about?
Well, based on the name, I'm guessing it has something to do with the brain, or like the control center.
You got it. Cortex is all about security operations. It's like the central nervous system of their security ecosystem.
So it ties everything together.
In a way, yeah. It provides AI-powered tools that help security teams analyze threats, automate tasks, and respond to incidents faster.
So it's like giving those security teams superpowers.
Exactly. And it's becoming essential as the threats get more sophisticated.
Okay, so they've got all these platforms covering everything from the network to the cloud and everything in between. But all this innovation can't be cheap. How are their financials looking?
Well, they've been spending a lot on research and development acquisitions, expanding globally.
You got to spend money to make money, right?
Yeah.
But is it paying off?
It seems to be.
Yeah,
They're growing rapidly, but it's also put pressure on their profit margins, as we mentioned before.
right. That balancing act between growth and profitability.
Exactly. But their latest financials actually show some positive signs. Their operating margin is expanding and their free cash flow is strong.
Okay, so they're managing the growth responsibly, for now at least.
It seems that way, but it's something to keep an eye on for sure.
Definitely. Now, you mentioned insider trading earlier. What have the folks in the know been doing with their PANW shares?
It's been a mixed bag, actually. Some executives have been selling shares.
Which can sometimes be a red flag.
Yeah, but it's not always a sign that they're losing faith in the company. Could be
Right.
personal reasons.
Right. They might just need to pay some bills or diversify their portfolio.
Exactly. But on the other hand, we've also seen some big insider buying, including their president snapping up a bunch of shares.
Hmm. That's interesting. Is that a sign that they think the stock is undervalued?
It could be. Insider buying is often seen as a positive signal.
So we've got mixed signals from the insiders. What about the analysts? What are the experts saying about PANW's potential?
Well, as with any high growth company, there's a bit of a split among the analysts.
Some are bullish, some are bearish.
Yeah, some are super optimistic, pointing to their market leadership, innovation, and strong growth.
They see PANW as a long-term winner.
Exactly, but others are more cautious. They worry about those margin pressures, the impact of a potential recession, the competitive landscape.
It's a bit of a tug of war.
It is, but the average price target based on recent ratings is around $402.50.
Still a decent upside from where it is now, but like you said, take those analyst opinions with a grain of salt.
Always a good idea. So we've looked at their platforms, their financials, insider trading analyst sentiment. What does all this mean for someone trying to decide if they should invest in PANW?
Yeah, that's the big question. What's the takeaway here?
Well, PANW is definitely a company with a lot of potential. They're in a high growth market, they've got a good track record of innovation, and their strategy seems to be working.
But they're not without their challenges.
Mhm.
Those margin pressures,
Yeah.
competition, the whole economic uncertainty thing.
Exactly. It's all about weighing those risks against the potential rewards.
So it comes down to your individual risk tolerance, investment goals, and how much you believe in PANW's long-term vision.
Precisely. And remember, this is just the tip of the iceberg. We've only scratched the surface here.
All right, there's always more to learn, more to explore. But before we send you off on your own research journey, there's one more crucial aspect we need to cover. It's easy to get caught up in the day-to-day, but we got to think about the bigger picture.
Yeah, one earnings report doesn't tell the whole story.
So what are some of those long-term trends that could really impact PANW down the road?
One thing that's not going away is the shift to hybrid work and cloud adoption.
Right, more and more companies are doing business online, and their employees are working from everywhere.
Exactly. And that creates a huge opportunity for cybersecurity companies.
Because all that data and those applications living in the cloud need to be protected.
And that's where PANW's focus on cloud security with that Prisma Cloud platform really comes into play.
So they're providing the tools companies need to secure their cloud environments.
Exactly. And it's not just about protecting data from accidental leaks. It's about defending against increasingly sophisticated attacks.
Because the bad guys are getting smarter too, right?
Oh, yeah. We're seeing a huge increase in ransomware attacks, nation-state-sponsored cyber espionage, AI-powered threats. It's getting intense out there.
Sounds like it's a constant arms race.
It really is. And PANW is staying ahead of the curve by embracing AI and automation themselves.
So they're using AI to detect and respond to threats in real time.
That's the goal, to stop attacks before they even happen.
Like a pre-crime division for cyber threats.
Haha, kinda. And on top of all that, there's the whole regulatory landscape to consider.
Governments around the world are getting serious about data privacy and security.
Yep. Companies can't afford to ignore those regulations or they'll face some hefty fines.
So it's not just about protecting themselves from hackers, it's about compliance too.
Exactly. And that creates another big opportunity for companies like PANW who can help organizations navigate those complex
And
rules.
so it sounds like PANW is in a pretty sweet spot. They're in a high growth market with multiple factors driving demand.
They are, but like we said before, it's not all smooth sailing. They still have those margin pressures, competition, economic uncertainty.
So after all this back and forth, what's the verdict? Is PANW a buy?
Well, we've given you a lot to think about, but ultimately it comes down to your own assessment of the risks and rewards.
Right. You got to do your own research and decide if PANW aligns with your investment goals and risk tolerance.
Exactly. Weigh the pros and cons, dig into the areas that interest you, and make the decision that's right for you.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Mhm.
And hey, This is just one deep dive into a massive and always evolving world.
If you want to stay ahead of the game and learn more about all kinds of fascinating companies and industries, there's one thing you got to do.
Hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so you don't miss out on our future deep dives.
We'll be back soon with more in-depth analysis, insightful conversations, and who knows, maybe even a few surprises along the way.
Until then, keep learning, keep exploring, and keep those minds engaged.